Fire Emblem Three Houses is a tactical RPG released recently on the Nintendo Switch, in which you must fully dive in and become what Fire Emblem has always secretly strived to be, a high school anime. The plot of Fire Emblem is about as generic as one could possibly get when it comes to anime-based sword stories. You are the blank, faceless Chosen One who doesn't know he is the Chosen One, but obviously is due to the seemingly unnatural colour of his hair, and you are enlisted to be a professor in an academy where they teach posh boys and girls how to fight with swords and bows. You even get to name your character to be whatever name you choose, although because this is open to abuse, I went through the game as the legendary warrior Poohhead. The actual game is a frankly weird mix of genres. You get tactical battles followed by a relationship sim game with a touch of school sim in there as well. The game follows a calendar system wherein at the beginning of the week you decide what you want your students to study for the week and what action you would like to take. You can either battle to gain experience points to level up and increase your stats, or you can explore to interact with students and increase your relationships with them. You can also have a professor do a seminar, or guest lecture I suppose, to raise the weapon skills of the interested members of your class. Each member of your class has a motivation bar which decreases when you give one-to-one lessons at the start of the week. This is used to give that student a small boost to a weapon skill of your choice, or weapon skills of your choosing, which can be the same or different to what they're learning in independent study. It's basically a simulation of how university should be, but without all the boozing and time off that I remember from my failed degree attempt. Have I mentioned yet that you're the same age as all of your students? Well, I say that you are, but the game never actually tells you. It's the game's fun way of making the main character as blank and emotionless as possible so that you can superimpose your own story onto them. Now, this review is spoiler-free, but frankly, dear viewer, if you wanted to not have the game spoiled for you before you play it, I suggest you come off the internet. A scary prospect, I know, but it's not like I'm suggesting that you go outside. I'm not criminally insane. Yet. Speaking of the internet, the game does have a quite nifty little feature where you can see the most popular action taken on that day by other players playing online. The loading screens can also show the most used units, so you can get a grasp of whom the biggest waifu is out of all the students and teachers you can recruit to your class to send out and stab people in the face with a big stick. As I said before, the gameplay is split into two elements. One half is the Fire Emblem fans know from games past, a top-down tactical grid strategy RPG almost akin to a game of chess, wherein you move your units about the field and use them to kill all of the opponent's units before they do the same to you. It's a simple enough premise, but one that the fans of the series might find a bit dumbed down. I know I did. Gone is the famous weapon triangle of old. Instead, every weapon is just as good as every other weapon, meaning you no longer have to have a balanced team of units and can cheese the game by having a whole squad of the most powerful magic users. With each weapon comes some skills, and these skills can give the abilities and the bonuses of what the weapon triangle used to do, but because there's no downside to it, and NPC units rarely, if ever, have these skills, that element of tactics is gone from the game. One thing that is still around, however, is if you are in a fight and a unit is killed, then that unit is lost forever and will not be revived, assuming of course you're playing on the correct difficulty, and not the easiest one, for pansies. Now, everyone who's played one of these games in the past knows the struggle of getting down to the last big boss and he runs over and kills the one unit that you love the most or know is invaluable to the squad, and you then have to restart your console so you don't lose it, only to find that you're back in the beginning of the fight with none of the progress made and it's a 20-minute battle. Three Houses, on the other hand, has a nifty way around this in the form of divine intervention. And to be clear, I'm not talking about holy white magics or a little angel descending from heaven and giving you a blowjob so that you feel better. No. In this game, since you are the protagonist literally chosen by the gods or goddesses themselves, you gain the ability to turn back time to essentially undo the last move, or the whole bloody fight if you wanted to a point where you can fix your screw up and your waifu situation doesn't become a whole lot more necrophilia-y. The catch to this is that you only have a certain number of uses of this power, so you can eventually still get a game over. But, as I previously pointed out, if you're cheesing the game to make everyone one super powerful magic class, this probably won't happen. I mentioned half of this game is the battle simulation, which we've been talking about so far. The other half of this game is the high school anime part. During the first mission, you'll meet the three heads of the houses who have run into trouble during a training mission and need you to do the tutorial to help them out. You then get to choose which of red, blue or yellow you wish to join, and upon arrival at the school, Officers Academy, Monastery, you instantly become the teacher of that group. Which is not really surprising. The bandits they need help from are so weak they might as well have died as a heart attack because you gave them an angry look. The way that they've integrated the two halves of the game is really rather good. In past Fire Emblem games, you'll develop your support levels between members of your team as they fight on the battlefield in close proximity. The logic being that maybe they'd saved them from a passing arrow or had a terribly British, "Oh please, oh after you, oh no I couldn't possibly," about who was going to jam a jagged metal knife through some poor bastard's head. Now this system still exists in Fire Emblem Three Houses, but the main way to develop support between students and the main player character is to have conversations around the school. Sorry, I did it again. Monastery. It's a weird mix of religion and school, although I distinctly remember belting out Jesus songs in primary school, so maybe it's not as weird as I thought? Anyway, Poohhead can go around and deliver gifts to students and fellow teachers and return lost items, which seem to be all over the fucking place. Just how clumsy are these kids that we've given swords, spears, bows and taught dangerous fire magic to? It's a wonder the bloody place doesn't burn to the ground. I've also found that during this side quest of returning lost items to random people, there's no punishment for giving a wrong item to a person. So I just ended up going around trying to give everything to everyone and mashing my way through the rejection dialogue.
I know nothing.
And it really makes me want to mute the game. It's worth running these errands around and trying to have every conversation you can though, because you can be rewarded with new students and professors from other houses to join your battle squad. I've no idea how that practically works though. If you're recruiting the teacher from another class into your class, did they not have enough information? Do they not know enough about swords and arrows and all this weapon shit? And what happens to the students in that professor's class that you've recruited? Do they teach themselves? And they do a pretty good job of teaching themselves. I don't know, it's just never really explained. It's a bit unclear for my liking. They probably did what we all did when we had a substitute teacher in school. Sweet fuck all, except maybe throwing pencils into the ceiling and seeing if they would stick in there. What I like is how they've melded these two very different playstyles into a coherent game with a story which, while wildly stupid and a tad confusing, is all in all pretty good. I give it a mighty 3 thumbs up. It's not bad, but it can go on a bit if you wanted to get the best experience from your team of misfits or dive straight into the combat. Oh, and when you finish the game, you can marry one of the people you've taught, because that's not a creepy abuse of authoritative and godlike powers. My overall rating? 7 out of 10. Definitely pick it up. Now, because I'm an idiot and can barely form opinions of my own, I went to the internet to see what you guys had to say about the game. Now, I'm going to read out these usernames, the ones that have given me permission to do so, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to get them right, so apologies if I've mispronounced anything or everything that's going to be on. Feel free to correct me and dislike this video and call me a little bitch in the comments so that I can get it right. Hadryr writes, "My favourite feature of this game has got to be the way that every class can wield basically everything. Nothing feels as funny as giving Mercedes a pair of gauntlets and sending her into melee to beat someone up." Sableprince writes, "The voice acting is fantastic. Every voice actor did a good job of bringing a unique and fitting voice for each character, and every line is voice acted. It's incredibly immersive. Sometimes I wonder if I like the writing of the game, or if I just really love the voice acting."
Why would Lord Lonato be carrying around a sea? Isn't it possible he hoped to monopolize everyone's attention?
Maybe they're after the treasure vault. There's all
True. The monastery and
Whatever their aim, we can't allow any harm to come to the ladies of the monastery.
You mean to say we should search the monastery?
Yes. And we should be prepared to fight them as well, should it come to that.
It's the voice acting. I promise you, it's the voice acting. The writing's so-so, the voice acting is brilliant. Anonymous writes, "I have some minor quibbles about the game's management of time. Auxiliary and extra battle maps can take place virtually anywhere on Foldland, and yet they can be done multiple times a day, which doesn't make much sense chronologically. Of course, this is a feature rather than an error, but it's nevertheless something I've noticed. It kind of gives off the impression that Foldland is a laughably puny in size, even though that's definitely not the case." Student Loans 1 writes, "My most loved feature is probably the dining hall, or the fact that you actually teach your students and certain skill levels get raised. It really drives the whole professor experience." Yetibot writes, The lack of really creative maps is my only minor quibble. I don't think the map design is quite as fun as it was in Fates, and they are repeated a lot. The maps aren't bad or lacking in fun and playability, they're just not quite up to the standard the other Fire Emblem games have set. Readalie, this person, they write, a little detail that absolutely blew my mind was when I noticed that I could move the loading screen character. Yeah, I love that too. Check this out. I'm doing that. I'm controlling it. Look at him jump. Woo! So thanks for watching, guys. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. This is the first video that I've put out. I'm going to try and do a couple of videos like this a month, just setting myself realistic time frames. If you have any feedback or stuff you want me to cover, please let me know. I'm looking for feedback, I'm looking for tips, I'm looking for what you want to see, what you want to hear. And yeah, if you liked it, just give me a like, a subscribe, and comment below with what you liked and what you didn't like. And if you didn't like it, then dislike it and click that little red X in the corner. You know, that one that's right up there at the top? Yeah.